Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 111. I'm Ignace, and today we're building a new bot in the bay occupied by Pretty Hate Machine Mark III up until just before we started building this 5-wide spine. There's a new patch that came out yesterday, and I was going to do an episode discussing the new patch notes and all that other stuff, and I was gathering some footage, some match footage to show while we were discussing all those different things, and everything that I was thinking in terms of what was going on with the patch and how well it was working and all that other stuff was immediately overshadowed by how much I hate the heavy hover mechanics. I just absolutely couldn't stand them any longer. They were what originally drove me to make the Pretty Hate Machine Mark III, and making a new bot didn't put us in a better situation at all. One of the things that had changed with the patch is that apparently the handling of hovers had improved, particularly at higher speeds, where if you had been traveling forward, for example, for a certain amount of time, you had reached a high speed and then you try and turn, it would be more than a little unstable. The heavy hover is just too damn slow for me to even test what that's like now. I was being chased down by tracks. I was just not really feeling any love whatsoever for hovers, and I'd had enough. So I decided it was time to build a new bot. Now, one of the things, whenever I'm going to build a new bot, I go through a list in my head of what are the different options I might want to go with, what kind of weapon I want to go with, what kind of mobility I want to go with, all these things. When it comes to mobility right now, I just, the ground-based options don't appeal to me. Even though tracks are faster than hovers now, tracks just strike me as this big, bulky kind of thing, and that's exactly what they're supposed to be, but it's not what I'm looking for in terms of the design when I get around to building the bot, where I want something that's, you know, fast, agile, exciting to play, and generally able to go kind of anywhere a little bit easier than you might expect from a ground-based solution. Wheels are right out for me. When you look at what happens to wheels on ice, that's basically all the reason I need to not use them. It's never going to change. Plus, with the wheeled vehicles that I've had, the way they handle over the terrain that's in the game is just a pain in the butt. It's a real pain in the butt and not something that I enjoy. And it's not a shot against wheels, it's just I don't enjoy it, so I'm not going to build with it. Go through the list. All that was really left as kind of a last-ditch attempt to get a plasma bot that I liked into service was something that flies. And it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to build. I've been reading, you know, the forums and Reddit and all these other things, what people are talking about in terms of what's working and what's not. And I learned a long time ago not to believe what people say when it comes to such and such being useless. Because I still see people saying that rotor blades are useless, that nobody can build with rotor blades, that rotor blades are awful. And they started saying that the day rotor blades came out, and they've been saying it ever since. And I've got a bot in my garage and videos of the building of that bot on my channel that show beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's very possible to build a robust functional copter with the redundancy that you need and the ability to sustain the beating that you need to be viable in that kind of a role, and still have a fun, playable bot in the process. And it's kind of interesting when you say to people who are saying, you know, rotor blades have always been useless, why don't you fix this? It's like, they haven't always been useless, you just haven't known how to build with them yet. So when it comes to people saying such and such is useless, don't bother building it, I kind of feel like, I'll take my chances. It's kind of like people saying, you know what, I'll try my chances with hovers, or actually I like heavy hovers, despite the fact that I've just said that I absolutely can't stand them. Hey, fill your boots. It's not me trying to tell people don't use it. It's me saying the reason why I'm doing a different bot is because I don't personally like the way something is going. If you can get it to work for you and you like it and you enjoy it, then that's really all that matters. So in this case, I decided we're gonna try our luck at a bomber. One of the things that came out with this new patch is the tier 10 variant of all of the previous tiers of electroplates. So if you've ever looked at your tier 2 electroplate and thought it would be the perfect shape to protect that special spot on your tier 10 bot, you can now get a tier 10 version of that electroplate. You have to unlock it with checkpoints, you have to buy it with tier 10 RP. By tier 10 RP I mean amounts that are relevant to tier 10. Specifically, I think it's 111,000 RP per electroplate. But the added benefit is that you get to pick from a larger selection of shapes and sizes and things, and you can put together the ultimate protection scheme for your bot. I think, I remember, you know, people have been requesting it for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been playing the game, to have the option for electroplates to scale to the tier that they're being used in. And in this case, we got the end result, basically, in being able to have the tier 10 variants of all the different sizes and shapes without the added benefit of being able to buy them in tier 2 with tier 2 relevant costs, and just have them auto-scale all the way up to tier 10 and through all the different tiers. So it's a little bit of a backhanded benefit, having to unlock them and purchase them again at the higher price point. But overall, I think it's a positive addition to the game. They could have not done anything, I guess you could say, and we wouldn't have looked at that as a positive, but having it now overall, even though it's not necessarily the format that people would have preferred, is a good thing. So I've upgraded the tier 8 electroplates that I was using on the Pretty Hate machine. By upgrading, I mean unlocked and bought the tier 10 variants. And we'll be using some tier 9 electroplates on here that will not be the tier 10 variants because I just didn't feel like spending it. We're still, at some point, considering the possibility of building a megabot, and so spending everything that we earn on kind of maybe components is not necessarily what I'm looking to do at this point in time. Now you can see we're doing a lot of tweaking with this builds, and that's kind of the reason why I've decided to split it into 2 shorter episodes, is because when we do a lot of tweaking, sometimes it's just a lot to take in, and it's a little bit frustrating to watch when you've already kind of reached that mental exhaustion level. It's like I can't keep track of any of this tweaking anymore just to get one block on. So what we're going to do is basically we'll get the lion's share of the chassis done in this episode. The next episode we'll finish off the chassis, we'll get the guns mounted, and then we'll do some testing and tweaking from there to make sure that the performance is where we want it before we start taking it into matches. You can see we finally, after all this time, got what I like is a good position for the tier 10 electroplates. They're kind of underneath the wings, providing a little bit of protection to the chassis and some side protection as well to the pilot seat a little bit, for when we're doing those crazy rolls and sick maneuvers, flying around in the skies, bombing noobs and whatever, all that other crap. Now you can see we're extending some blocks out, and these are going to be basically the functional part of the mounts for the weapons, so that we'll have, again, as robust as we can make them, portions where we can attach the weapons, and then if they take a bunch of damage and the damage starts spreading through the chassis, it's not a single line straight to the center of the chassis, the center of the spine, and then from there to the pilot seat. There's a fair amount of meat that you have to dig through before you can get to that kind of stuff. So understanding that by the mid-game in the new battle modes, overclocking means survivability becomes much lower. We don't want to start out as a paper mache kind of drone. We want to make sure that we've got a little bit of meat to us, so that by the late game we have an opportunity to get at least 1 or 2 volleys off on people before we get destroyed. I think the biggest thing with this bot is going to be getting it tuned so that it flies properly. But overall, I kind of think it's shaping up to be a not bad looking bot as well. So we've got a lot of meat going on, and the aesthetics are kind of working in a way that I'm happy with up to this point. You can see, trying to get a feel. I don't even think you can mount plasmas sideways, but I was mostly interested in just kind of refreshing my memory in terms of how big they are relative to the chassis, so that I would have to either possibly extend the chassis to get 6 on, or, you know, kind of come up with a new solution depending on how much space they wanted. But once we get everything into place, it turns out that we'll probably have enough room for all 6 guns. So we're just going to kind of finish extending the chassis down so that we'll have the mounts, and we'll stick on a couple more electroplates, and that'll be it for this episode. So I'll let you watch that. Turn up the music a little bit so you can enjoy, and if you want to be notified when I add the next video in the series, you can always subscribe to my channel and or follow me on social media. Links for that are always in the information section below the video. Please leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.